Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boulder Council Breakdown. I am Councilmember Nicole Speer. Councilmember Lauren Folkerts is also here, and we are just here to update you on last night's council meeting. Our hope with these meetings is just to provide a space for you all to hear directly from us, our thoughts on the meeting. So what we're really hoping to do is just to increase some communication with the community and give you an opportunity to hear from us directly about some of the things that we're thinking about as we're having these discussions and what we're seeing out in the community. So we are going to be here on Fridays after council meetings with our coffee, as awake as we can possibly be, to fill you in on what's been happening in the council world so that you can be a little bit more engaged with your city government. Lauren, do you have anything to add?
No, I think you got it. Should we dive in?
Yes, let's do it.
Our first question is, just recapping the meeting. What were the 2-3 biggest topics on our agenda last night and how did those go? There was one that was really seemed bigger than the rest in terms of the annexation and IGA for the affordable home manufacturing facility that would be a partnership between the city and the BBSD school district. And I thought it mostly went fairly well, but we are going to be revisiting that in a couple of weeks. There were some items that the council, particularly this access to the property, that the council decided they really would like to see the school district be a little bit more flexible on.
And for anybody who hasn't been following this topic really closely, out at the BBSD Education Center on Arapahoe, around like 63rd, 65th and Arapahoe, there's a portion of the property that doesn't currently belong within the city boundaries. And the school district is wanting to put a modular home manufacturing facility there that will produce modular homes for our region, and also serve as an education opportunity for students in BBSD to learn about this type of manufacturing and home building and construction and all of that. And so
it's really like a growing technology that's makes home building more efficient, more cost effective, and it's also will help provide the students of our community with experience in a growing industry. So great on a lot of fronts.
It really is cool. And it's also a partnership with Flatirons Habitat for Humanity. And so one of the first communities to get some of these homes after it's built is the Ponderosa Manufacturing Home Facility in North Boulder. So it really is a great resource for the region. I was asking our city manager last night about, where even the resources come from that go into manufacturing these homes. And she said, they really try to reuse things that are already here. So that's kind of cool as well in terms of just a little bit of added sustainability in this process too. So there's a lot to love. And the thing that I think most of us on council were concerned about, as well as our open space board of trustees, the group of people who kind of oversee all of our open space, was how the trucks were going to be accessing this property and where the facility would be. There's sort of a long street along 63rd that kind of winds back around the property and goes by some of our open space called Sombrero Marsh. And folks were just concerned about the impact of like dust kind of getting onto this space, of the noise for one of the neighborhood communities that are there. And so what we've sent back to the school board is to ask them to consider using the light at 65th Street and Arapahoe as the main entrance point to the facility. So we will see what the school district thinks about that. Like Lauren said, it's going to come back in a couple of weeks. So if you have strong opinions, you can email us or let us know what you think.
Annexations and IGAs are big long negotiation process, and the negotiation continues.
Yeah, the other thing that came up last night that I was actually a little bit surprised that we dove this deeply into the conversation was around how we're going to use a little bit of remaining American Recovery Act funds. And there's been about $500,000 that we've been keeping in this public health reserve for the last year plus, and sort of in our back pocket as a way to respond to any issues that were coming up. And our Housing and Human Services Department had kind of flagged this money as money we could use for some basic needs assistance for people in our community, like utilities assistance, so help paying utilities bills, hoteling for families who have lost their housing and are on the verge of not having a place to stay in our community. So for some things like that. And as part of our budget discussions this year, we were talking about increasing funding for our arts community, which is also a very underfunded area in our community. And so the Housing and Human Services basically said that of this money that's in this public health reserve, the arts community, they'd be okay with the arts community taking about $150,000 of it. So we had a lot of conversation around that issue and just sort of how to divvy up, the money in a way that feels good and fair and is putting resources into the places in our community that really need it.
Too, that was another one that was the first reading, and so we'll have a public hearing on that in our next voting meeting, which will be 2 weeks from today, and sorry, 2 weeks from yesterday. And so options to weigh in and let us know how you feel about how we should be allocating that money, and I'm sure there will be more conversation had on council about it.
Yeah, it feels like those were the two biggest topics from last night, or at least the ones that sparked the most discussion.
We did have the mayor pro tem election on the agenda, but given that we were missing 2 council members and we wanted everyone there for that, that will be coming up also 2 weeks from yesterday on what day is that going to be, Nicole?
It's
the first.
December 1st.
And Nicole, yes, will be one of the people vying for that spot. So that also promises to be a really interesting and exciting conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, we will see how that goes on the 1st. But people have a chance to weigh in on that topic as well if they would like to before the 1st. You can also sign up for public comment on that issue if you want to speak to it. If you like me, if you hate me, whatever you think about me being mayor pro tem, signing up for public comment on the 1st will be the place where you can make your voice heard. So yeah, December is going to be full. We are getting an update on from the police department. We are getting an update on our alternative response program for a non-police response to behavioral health issues. We are going to be talking about the Homelessness Navigation Center and what its goals are. We got the mayor pro tem elections. We've got this reallocation or allocation of the $500,000 and remaining ARPA funds. We got a lot to do before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that those midnight meetings, we haven't had them in a while, but they're my guess is they're coming back.
All right, Lauren. So we are heading into a 1-week break from council next week. And then we come back for 3 meetings in December, and then we are on a winter break. What's coming up over the next few weeks that folks may be interested in?
So for our December 1st meeting, we have a couple of juicy items. We will be doing appointments from the council to the group that will appoint the trustees for our newly formed library district. Yeah.
Yay, congratulations, library district.
Which in this last meeting, we only had 2 candidates at the end, so it should be straightforward, but you never know. Things can always get juicy at the last minute. We also will have the ARPA funding, what Nicole referenced earlier, that almost $500,000 and how that will be reallocated, that will be a public hearing. So you can send us your comments ahead of time, or you can sign up for public comment on the 1st. It also will be an in-person meeting. So your options for public comment can be either you can do it virtually or you can come in person. And the mayor pro tem election, which Nicole has volunteered to stand for, will also be in our upcoming meeting, and again has a public hearing. And then maybe Nicole, you could give us a little bit of information on the DRCOG agenda item that I see also has a public hearing.
Yes, yeah. So every 4 or 5 year cycle, there's a bunch of funds that become available for transportation projects. And we get to go through a process where we're applying for funding for those projects. So it's kind of our chance to say, you know, what are the bigger projects that we want to use federal funds for as we improve our transportation infrastructure in the city. And so we are in kind of the last cycle of applying for some of those funds, and our transportation staff will present on 4 really cool projects that are helping us develop better bike, transit, walking infrastructure that they're hoping to get council's approval for submission for funding. And all these projects, they're not things that happen quickly. They're things that would happen kind of over the next 5 years or so. So stay tuned, and we will return in 2 weeks to debrief the council meeting on the 1st.